Hello crypto legends, hope you're doing fantastic and had a great weekend. Now I do have some scenarios ready for you here on the price of Bitcoin. We are hitting a major resistance zone. I'm going to talk about the most important levels of support and resistance and confluence that we could be looking for here entering into the week. Also looking at a little bit of Elliott wave theory throughout the end of the video. Now let me know down below in the comment section how you're feeling throughout the end of September entering into October. Are you leaning more bullish for more upside, or are you feeling more bearish? Let me know down below. I want to know the general view of the public. Now, before we dive in, quick shout out to Weeks, where you do get a 20% cashback on your deposit, guys. Also, Bluffin got an insane bonus, and you can actually win Omega Globe Master depending on what you deposit. And the trading volume, guys, while you're trading, you can get these perks, of course, and bonuses once you sign up down below to either Bluffin or Weeks. And if you do so, you do get access to the VIP community. That's where I share my trading setups. I have to say, September has been a little bit slow for me, but I am getting ready for my next big trade of a $50,000 to $100,000, which very likely can give that flashing signal this week, okay? Let's go right away through the different scenarios that I'm looking at. Now, the major support that we got just a couple of weeks ago on the 1st, 2nd of September here, getting a nice bounce, was based on the point of control of this range and hitting the golden pocket from the last swing higher low to all-time high. As you can see, when we get Fibonacci retracement from this pivot low to the pivot high, golden pocket with the point of control got the epic bounce of almost $10,000, you would say, right, throughout September. Now, when we do take a look at where the price is pulling back here throughout the last few days, it is actually the point of control from this range and also the golden pocket from the pivot all-time high to the pivot low of the range. So you can see how these levels are so important, guys. This is where the price has been struggling for the last few days, getting this rejection of a few $1,000s. Now, let's talk about the lower time frames. What is most important to understand from this uptrend? First of all, let's get some trend lines. Keep it nice and simple for the viewers. Now, when we did see the downtrend from all-time high in August, okay, we can see how we were maintaining here the resistance trend line. We broke it, and then we continued this uptrend throughout September. Now, if you do take a look at the support trend line, it is literally being tested in the last couple of days throughout the weekend. Now, we do not want to see an epic breakdown. I do think that it's acceptable to actually sweep up the lows below $114,000 and give the possibility of a rally, because there is a lot of support there, guys, that will be explained in this episode, okay? But as you can see, trend line broken to the downside, okay? To the upside from the downtrend. And to the upside, we can see that we are maintaining very nicely this uptrend, right? Which is just getting tested, as you can see. So getting a pretty significant drop from this trend line would be a little bit alarming, okay? But I think we're not out of the woods, of course, on the bearish case, and we could go to lower levels. The bullish case scenario, getting a nice bounce from this region, is very much a possibility. Now, why is that? Well, we do have a weekly naked point of control. Weekly naked point of control from this consolidation that we had last week, right? We had a nice uptrend, nice little consolidation, and then continued to the upside. Now, from this momentum of just about a week ago, we do have the naked point of control. Now, what is interesting also is the anchored VWAP from the pivot low. Anchored VWAP is super important from a major pivot swing high or swing low. When we do take a look at the anchored VWAP from all-time high, we actually just tapped that level here on the 5th of September and got a rejection of $3,000. So without a doubt, the anchored VWAP, which is coming slightly below the weekly naked point of control after sweeping up these lows where we have that huge amount of liquidity, okay, $114,000, $113,000 range, we do have some pretty intense liquidity. So could it mean that we do sweep that liquidity and get a decent relief rally? Now, I'm going to say yes. This zone is actually a bouncing zone. Now, the overall question, is it going to be an epic bounce, Or is it just going to be a small bounce and we continue to the downside, taking into consideration that we are breaking that trend line support, right? Something that we need to be aware of, but without a doubt, it is a good entry zone for a quick long scalp setup, okay? Weekly naked point of control at 114.2K after sweeping up these higher lows right over here for that liquidity grab and getting that support from the anchored VWAP as well, okay? Nice level of support to get that relief rally. Now, what levels do we have to the upside that could provide some resistance? Well, we're just going to get the fixed volume profile from this range, and we can see that the point of control of this area is really not doing much, right? We're literally just consolidating in this zone, so there's no major breakdown or breakup, okay? But the value area high is a zone where it's looking very important as resistance, okay? That is also sitting here in between 50% and the golden pocket. This is an area where you realize that the price could definitely reject, right? A value area high from a major range of 1 to 2 weeks are important, right? And hitting here, that zone at 116.6, 116.7 could be a zone where the price can struggle, all right, and then get the roll over. So levels that I'm paying attention here to see where the price could bounce or reject locally is 116.7 and 114.2, give or take a few $100 because of volatility, okay? It's never an exact level. You just get those reaction reclaim, okay, of the zone where the price could reject or the price could bounce. These are scalp day trade setups. You need to get in, you need to be defensive, you pump or you reject $1,000 to $2,000. Be happy with those gains. I am looking for bigger swings, and I'm going to explain what is the type of swing trade that I'm looking at here, because if the price does get a major breakdown from that trend line, okay, which is coming down to $111,000 with a pretty significant drop, okay, and a 5-wave structure, this is the moment that I will realize that there's high probability in claiming 107K and even breaking down. There is one Elliott wave scenario that actually takes us down well below $107,000, and that is the WXY double zigzag. Now, the main reason why of this WXY double zigzag has to do because of the big pump that we had between April and August. You know this if you've been a legit follower. We've been looking at this contracting ascending diagonal, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For this to be the low and get a V-shaped recovery to hit all-time high is low probability. The probabilities are lower. It doesn't mean it cannot happen. Of course it can. However, the probabilities in forming a larger corrective structure and not hitting all-time high throughout the end of September is very, very likely. Now, this is one scenario that is very interesting, guys. This will catch many people as surprise, okay? The ones that are not looking at Elliott wave theory, timing, and market structure. A lot of people are very, very bullish, and it's up only from here, realizing that Q4 of the 4-year cycle theory has to be the most bullish one. Now, I do realize that the high probability of hitting all-time high is there. Just because this movement to the downside looks corrective, there's no form or way to count this movement down as an impulse, which means it could be a leg of a corrective structure. There is a way of counting this as an ABC 3-wave structure, okay, that could be finished, or a WXY also, okay, but not an impulse. That means that you're looking to hit all-time high at some point. However, you want to consider the most bearish case scenario here, which is getting that double zigzag. Everything points out still that this is a possibility, and the overall confirmation level where I would be aggressively going short, guys, is as soon as $111,000, this higher low right over here, is hit with a pretty strong, significant, impulsive move down of some kind, and the bounce is going to be very overlappy and very corrective. This is the price action that is going to confirm for me that we are likely going to form a lower high here and roll over to break below $107,000. This is the zone that I would be confident and building up my massive position to the downside. Now, what are the other scenarios? Of course, it's not all bearish doom and gloom. Of course, we are going to take a look at the lower time frame here and consider the different scenarios, right? We can not only talk about the bearish case scenarios. Is there a possibility here of forming multiple 1-2s? There is, but the probabilities are very low. Where you have the rally, you have the sideways WXY, another rally here, which is longer than your first wave 1 and 2, that already decreases probability here for a multiple 1-2 setup. And of course, you would have the 1, 2, 1 and 2, and this just finally breaks out in a massive third wave here. Preferably you do form a higher low in this region and get that massive breakout throughout the week. I think that this has low probabilities to happen, guys, and the main reason why is because your second 1 and 2 eventually did not overlap, okay, from your wave 1. That is very common to see overlap on your second and third 1-2 from the highs of your previous wave 1s, and also this one is longer than the first wave 1 and 2, so that is, you know, also giving that lower probability scenario for this to play out. Now, other scenarios taken into consideration, and this is where it becomes very interesting. The highest probability scenarios that we are looking at here is, first of all, the major bullish one, which would be a 5-wave move to the upside here. Now, depending on the movement down, there is a chance for this wave 4 to be a flat, okay, where you do get another leg down, sweep up the lows, and then get an epic bounce, and you do create the last wave to the upside, which would be your wave 5. I have to say, this is why this area at 114k, where you do have that naked point of control after sweeping the lows, can be relatively interesting for that liquidity grab, reclaim, you form some bullish market structure, and then you get the rally to take out the highs again. This zone becomes very interesting, where you have the anchored VWAP, you have the point of control, also the weekly naked point of control from this range. It just becomes a good area to see the reaction and the relief rally. Of course, you have the risk, of course, of getting the bounce. If it is going to be very choppy, I would be paying attention here for the rollover later on, okay? If there's lots of overlap, no strength on the market structure, it's going to be looking like a very corrective bounce, okay? So if you are in the VIP or in the pro community, you will know exactly what I'm looking for here once this happens, and take action immediately once we get those signs of confirmation. Could it be that your wave 4 is in here? This is your wave 5. This movement to the upside doesn't look too impulsive, I have to say. It does look a little bit 3-wavy, not too promising, of course, for this to be the end of a wave. However, there is that bearish case scenario, which would be a WXYXZ. There would be a good way of counting this as a WXYXZ, because your Z finished in a 3-wave structure, and that's what you want to say, okay? This is a 3-3 where you have zigzags throughout the movement to the upside here to finish your Z wave. So it is getting a little bit confusing right now to, you know, really realizing, is it a 5-wave structure? Is it a WXYXZ? It all will be said with the next movement to the downside, if we are going to get one. Of course, if we were to rally from here, I would be extremely interested in looking for a double top scenario here. This would be a very good short position, in my opinion, because you are already completing a 5-wave structure if your 5th wave is not in here, okay? This could be a flat, running flat ABC in your wave 4, and you get one more last push for your 5th wave. It doesn't really matter. I would be looking for the failed breakout of this high to look for that short position. Remember, there is a lot of liquidity to the upside, okay, which is at $118,000 to $119,000, but also there is a lot of liquidity below 114k, guys, as you can see on the liquidity heat map. So without a doubt, I do see us claiming the lows here because of the significant liquidity that there is, okay? There's also liquidity here. So this is why this could relief rally, and this is why if you do claim the highs, I would be interested in a fake out, a double top here on the higher time frame to come down later on to hit $114,000. The lows of the range and the highs of the range to be swept, and then look for the other side, all right, of the movement. So in a nutshell, local trades that I'm interested in, of course, we do have the value area high and the golden pocket of this range. that could be an interesting rejection. We do also have the sweep of the lows hitting that weekly naked point of control. That could be a good reaction level here that we could get that bounce after that liquidity grab. Okay, we also have the anchored VWAP from the pivot low of the 1st of September. This is a good reactional zone to get that relief rally, can get you some pretty nice gains on that bounce. Now on the higher time frame, what I'm mostly interested in is confirming the movement to the downside. Now the bullish case scenario, we have a 5-wave move to the upside. We break down here in a 3-wave structure and we get some epic relief rallies, okay? And a change of structure. We can confirm that this has been a 3-wave corrective move. If we do sweep up the lows and the highs, that would be a bullish sign. If we do form an impulse here, I would say that this is potentially the low and this could be the low as well, guys. And we will be looking for long positions for that massive upside momentum to hit all-time high. If we were to break down very successfully throughout the next couple of days, we get that relief pump and then we nuke down here with high volume, also breaking that trend here from this upside momentum that we've had throughout the last 2 weeks, then of course that will be the moment that I will be waiting patiently, okay, for that relief rally. If we do claim one more low, this would be the structure that I'm looking for to absolutely eye the bounce here. Lots of overlap, very choppy, very corrective structure. This would be the ultimate confirmation. This is where I will be going in heavily for a massive short to claim $107,000 and even drop to lower levels later on, guys, to form that massive double zigzag structure. So it's going to be a very interesting week. There's going to be some very good decisions to be taken, okay, with the information that we do get, guys. Not much more. Also, the double top here would be a great zone, all right, if we were to get that relief rally all the way up there. I do not see the multiple 1-2 setup, okay, playing out. This is low probability as explained. I would prefer to see either the WXYXZ if you are going to hit one more high, or the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we are looking for that liquidity grab. So this becomes an epic double top scenario. Remember, you need the rejection from this high to actually confirm that this is going to have a possibility to sweep these lows. It would be a nice move of $4,000 to $5,000. Those are the levels. Those are the possible setups, guys. Thank you very much for joining today's update, and I'll see you in the next one.